Chelsea, of course, looking to bounce back after that disappointing defeat against Leeds last weekend. No surprise the bookies have them as big favourites going into this tie. Leicester at 6-1. Chelsea can't muck this up, can they, Nedum?
You wouldn't expect so, but obviously, with Koulibaly out and the result that they had last week, they're not exactly perfect. But I think in some ways, going back home and playing a Leicester City side who feel a bit wounded, it wouldn't necessarily say it's a layout because it's definitely not that, but it feels more like a comfortable fixture because for as good as Leicester can be in attack, as Ian was saying, they do have significant weaknesses at the back. Doesn't feel like they're being as progressive as say they were in the years gone by, when they were really challenging for the top four. So you see the odds, they're like that for a reason. Are we really expecting Leicester to really go and take it to Chelsea at the bridge, take them apart and be defensively strong? Probably not. But, at the end of the day, this is football, and, this is still why we tune in. But for me, I think it has to be Chelsea.
Yeah, you would expect a response, wouldn't you, Shaq?
Sorry, repeat that, Dan?
You would expect a response.
Oh, absolutely. And you couldn't pick a better team than Leicester City, I'll be honest. I'm concerned about Leicester and their fortunes this season. I think it could be a long season for them. And given who Chelsea are, or who Chelsea hope to be, this is the perfect opponent at just the right time. We'll see whether those signings for Fofana and then Aubameyang to come get over the line and how they fare. But this is one that any version of Chelsea should be winning.
No Thomas Tuchel on the touchline. He's suspended for his antics with Antonio Conte. Tough. Does that make any difference?
Shouldn't make a great deal of difference to these players unless they've replaced them with a bunch of kids.
Right.
Need to be told where they need to stand and where they need to run and how they need to go about it. His message will be before the game, and so there'll be no excuses. Leicester, I thought, would be going into this game a different team. I think there's now, and I'll go back to Chelsea, but Leicester City and Brendan Rodgers, I bet Brendan Rodgers is wishing he jumped ship 18 months ago when a few of these clubs were sniffing around him. The club seemed to be a lot more stable. They had a bad season, started to lose players, the players were about injuries, and then players were being talked about transfers, but I thought he was going to be backed in the summer. Now, maybe the tragedy with the owner and the passing of the ownership to other members of the family, I think it's his son, has changed the outlook and the financial situation. I don't know, but I fully expected Leicester, with a good coach, to go and back him again in the summer, and all we've heard from Leicester is there's hardly any players coming in. It's talk about James Justin, who's a terrific player, Fofana. We've even talking about Vardy going, but I know he's heading towards 35. Tielemans, Maddison, and so they are a fractured jigsaw.
Yeah.
And Brendan Rodgers has gone from a man who was been touted with almost all the big jobs, almost in England, to a man who's clinging, it seems, to his job by a fingernail this early in the season. And I don't think it's him. I think it's purely recruitment. I think it's purely transfer talk and the injuries that they had last year. And I think for those reasons, bearing in mind Chelsea got walloped at Leeds, the problems Leicester have, the problems Rodgers has, they can ill afford to have nothing else than the bounce back that you just mentioned. Although there will be more questions on Thomas Tuchel.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.